Today, the victims in Uvalde used for political gain yet again. Kyle Rittenhouse goes all in on the defamation suits, and the Biden administration blames Trump for the economic crisis. We've got all of that and more coming up, and it all starts right now. Welcome to the news and why it matters. I am Sarah Gonzalez, today joined by, I feel like it's been forever since you guys have been, I don't know if it's really been that long, but the dynamic duo. We've got Jaco Booyens, BlazeTV contributor and host of The Bottom Line, and Eric July, BlazeTV contributor and host of For Canon's Sake. I'm glad you guys are back in the building. So it's an interesting one because we had planned what we were going to talk about today, and on the way in, I saw that Matthew McConaughey was at a White House press briefing, and I asked myself, what the heck is Matthew McConaughey doing at a White House press briefing? I don't understand. My producer texted me and was like, hey, do you want to include this Matthew McConaughey stuff in the show? And I was like, yes, but can someone please explain to me why he's even at the White House? What is going on? Well, he was at the White House, as it turns out, to join Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre to eulogize the victims of Uvalde and, of course, push for gun reform. Now, his tie to Uvalde, because I was like, wait a second, I know he's from Texas. He's actually originally from Uvalde, Matthew McConaughey. And he went so far as to have his wife bring the shoes of one of the victims. Let's watch a little bit of his press briefing.
Maite wore green high-top Converse with a heart she had hand-drawn on the right toe because they represented her love of nature. Camilla's got these shoes. Can you show these shoes, please? Wore these every day. Green Converse with a heart on the right toe. These are the same green Converse on her feet that turned out to be the only clear evidence that could identify her after the shooting. How about that?
Now, McConaughey went on to advocate for new gun laws that he said, he said that don't infringe on the Second Amendment. We just want the new gun laws that don't infringe on the Second Amendment that literally says the right to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. I don't know how you work that one out in your head. But, you know, this comes after Biden has repeatedly said, he's repeatedly telling the American population that the Second Amendment was not absolute. He is saying that, look, private citizens were not allowed to own cannons. He's saying all of these things that we know are explicitly false, but he says it enough times that perhaps the American public will believe him.
And they're stupid enough to do it.
Yes, and here we see the slippery slope of where that leads us. Look, it's a very sad, tragic event. We've covered it extensively here at the News and Why It Matters. But I fail to understand how new gun laws and taking away more Americans' rights to protect themselves will help, especially when you're talking about a situation where the only people who I guess would be allowed to have guns in the left's utopia were the ones who didn't respond for over 40 minutes while they knew that the shooter was in there killing children. How in the hell do you work that out to be the solution?
There's so much to be said here. How happy are you now, Texas, that you will never hear all right from Austin, Texas, that's not your governor? And by the way, he was running as a Republican. So just let's
he was considering the run.
He didn't run. So many rhinos, and he was considering to run, right? Here's the deal. Yes, if the police, who are the only ones that are allowed to be armed, cannot protect you, that's in fact why you have a Second Amendment, Eric. When no one else will come, right? Or your neighbor will say, each man for himself, then okay, each man for himself. I'm going to defend me and mine. And they just make a case here, Sarah, why the Second Amendment is so important, why the founding fathers had the foresight to say, look, there may come a day when it's you and your family. And we should defend that with everything. And yeah, only the guns that do not violate the Second Amendment, what are those? And this whole weapons of war thing. I had a comment the other day from an MMA fighter, and he goes, hey, these are my weapons of war.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, what is that? By all means necessary, you should be able and allowed to defend your family. But of course they bring Hollywood back in. Of course Hollywood has to join the party and throw some emotional tantrum, right? He's forgotten that he's a Texan. I mean, I know Uvalde, and look, there's nothing to be said other than it's a tragedy. Children died, but they died on the hands of people that could have stepped in and saved many.
Well, especially because it's like, okay, so if that's our goal is to keep, like, what can we do to keep the children safer in the schools? What can we do to make the schools safer? It was already a freaking gun-free zone. And apparently that didn't solve the problem. Yeah. So why can we not focus on how to make schools safer and more secure, rather than having Matthew McConaughey prance up to the White House press conference room and deliver some scripted BS?
Well, there's two reasons why that idiot was up there delivering that speech and why they had him. One is because, again, the authoritarian left understands the importance of culture. And they look at it like, whether we think he's stupid or not, they like, well, he's an established actor who has some sort of pull, and this will have some sort of influence upon those that may be teeter-tottering sort of in the middle, that while we may not listen to these idiots, other people do. Yes. The other reason is because he's supposed to represent that chicken crap milquetoast kind of person who claims to be for gun rights, yet they are wishy-washy, very flaky kind of on this, and they are willing to make concessions. He's supposed to represent those guys to say, hey, look at who we're parading around or we're pushing in front of you. He's one of the other guys. And even he is saying that you guys should basically give up your weaponry, or we have more laws that are in place that make it far more difficult for you as just a person that, I don't know, does not advocate aggression upon other people, are able to arm yourself. He would like that to be far less likely, which is ultimately what this boils down to. I believe, this is true, the authoritarian left is full of a bunch of just evil people. And a lot of people don't want to credit them for that because they say, well, they're just trying to do what's best for the children. Of course, that's incorrect, but I'm also aware that they are aware that nothing that they could pass would essentially eliminate what that situation was. Right. That is a fundamental cultural issue that we need to address. And going to your point about maybe trying to figure out more ways to protect schools is another conversation to have. Nonetheless, you cannot legislate your way out of that situation. So effectively, all you would do is criminalize other people that would either stop something like that or just simply want to exercise their right to be able to defend themselves and their own individual families. Yes, they would. They're evil enough to use dead bodies of children.
Yes, absolutely.
To further push you guys into submission. And I know that we don't want to think like that because we always want to give people the benefit of the doubt. But when you're dealing with evil people, that's just simply how they operate. Yes, they would use dead children, by that matter, to then advocate acts of aggression upon you guys. It's a means to an end, as evil as it might be.
Eric, they're representing the master they serve, the one that comes to steal, kill, and destroy. It's darkness. They are evil because they're in agreement with evil. If gun control and gun policies worked, LA would not have shootings. Chicago would not have shootings. It doesn't work. What if? Can I play what if for a second? What if we take our vets that serve our country so well, our vets that come back with PTSD, and instead of sending $40 billion to the Ukraine, we actually put our vets through programs, and we put 3 vets at every single U.S. school, and we pay them a full-time salary, and we arm them and say, you vets defend these kids. You walk around these premises every day and you defend these children. Nobody will set foot. I'm telling you, a vet will go through a wall to go defend. They won't even set foot on a school property. There's so many ways to kill so many birds with one stone, to honor our veterans, to arm teachers, to have guns on the school property, to have teachers be able to handle active shooter themselves. But I just say, hey, let's hire our veterans. Our veterans that qualify psych evals, our veterans that still want to serve and protect, the guys who want to fight trafficking with us, put them at schools, like these dads in the black school. You saw some of the dads who dads just stepped up and dads all of a sudden is policing the school. It works. So let's hire our vets. I mean, probably for a whole lot less than $40 billion to the Ukraine.
So on that note, with all of this talk about the Second Amendment, and Eric, I think that you're so right that you just got to come to terms with the fact that there's just evil people out there who are going to use it for political gain. I think that's why you saw Justin Trudeau calling for what he called for, which is, basically like not allowing any more new purchases of handguns which is not even what was used in the shooting, but he used the shooting as an excuse to push that through. Here in New York, we're seeing just today, the governor signed a bunch of gun control bills into law. They said that gun violence is a disease that is tearing our nation apart. This was Kathy Hochul, and she signed into law 10 bills that will implement new restrictions on gun ownership, including raising the age to purchase a semi-automatic rifle in New York from 18 to 21 years old. They also banned the sale of bulletproof armor for anyone not in law enforcement and strengthened, they say, the state's red flag laws to take guns away from mentally unstable people and introduce new requirements for social media companies to monitor and report, quote, hateful conduct, end quote, on their platforms. I can't see that being used.
No, one of those things that you mentioned, think about that. Body armor.
Yeah. Can't defend yourself.
Right. They don't want you to be able to protect yourself.
To me, that says everything.
Yes.
Exactly. Because body armor can't hurt you.
Yes, right. Exactly. It's just all it does
only
is protects the person that is wearing.
Right.
And they want to eliminate that.
That says it all.
That says everything that we need to say about what their actual intentions are. And this comes from the whole we must do something sort of society that has been kind of cultivating or rather manifesting in this country where something bad happens. And instead of people wanting to look to, well, and I think this goes back to the worshiping of the government problem that we have, where instead of people looking to themselves, looking to their neighbors, looking to how they can actually fix this problem, they immediately look to the lawmakers, the legislators to say, well, make it stop. Make it stop. And it's like they can't do that. But what you do, unfortunately, you want to talk about what manifesting and cultivating, what you do is allow people to present themselves as heroes in this given scenario, and they run on this. Like, hey, I am going to stop violence. How many people have we ran?
You got to stop human nature
on that. Like, no, you can't. You've never been able to accomplish that with the resources virtually unlimited that you already have. What makes you think this is going to work here? It simply is about punishing people that have harmed nobody. And that's what we need to be leading with. You've heard me say this many times, Sarah.
You're a threat to their agenda.
That's what it is.
And if you're armed, you're a real threat to their agenda.
Bingo, exactly. And that's what it ultimately boils down to. They would rather have a bunch of people who are unable to defend themselves in the event that it does hit the fan. And I think we're a lot closer than that than what a lot of people might want to believe. You're seeing what's happening. You saw I think we saw an example of that during the Summer of Love in 2020. When the people that they told you to depend upon did nothing as your cities burned to the absolute ground.
Right.
So in this case, all they want to do is criminalize those people that would take it upon themselves to defend themselves, their neighbors, their families, and that is such an important thing that is in the way, because we are the last line of defense, whether we want to believe it or not, against them. If it were up to them, it would be a far more tyrannical regime than what we have right now.
Which I think is actually a perfect conversation to have before we welcome to the studio after this break. We welcome to the studio Kyle Rittenhouse, because this is, you're talking about the summer of love, the summer of 2020. We're talking about people's right to defend themselves. There's no better person to have on who can speak to that than Kyle. But we're going to get to that. First, we want to thank our sponsor of the segment, Birch Gold. So you guys, if you own stocks right now, you realize this. The inflation, it's out of control. It's hammering the stock market. The S&P 500 is having its worst start to the year since World War II. So not only are your savings worth less, you now have less of it. Thanks, Joe. Amazon stock is down 37% in the first half of the year. Tesla is down 40%. Cryptos have been slammed. The hawkish moves by the Fed could stall the economy. So let me ask you something. Do you have a plan? If not, listen up. If you do have a plan, also listen up, because this is really something you need to consider. You need to consider diversifying into gold. This is the most stable asset in the history of the world, and Birch Gold is the company I trust to help you convert an IRA or a 401k into an IRA in gold and silver. Not only will Birch Gold help you fortify your savings with precious metals, they can help you do it in a tax-sheltered account. You got to text the word Y to 989898. You're going to get a free, this is a no-obligation information kit on gold from Birch Gold. It will explain more about it, so there's no obligation. Again, it is free. There's no reason not to do it. Text the word Y, that's WHY, to 989898 and secure your savings now. Apparently inspired by Johnny Depp, Kyle Rittenhouse is moving ahead with his defamation lawsuits with his lawyer. They're already singling out Facebook as one of the many intended targets. And now, look, we have talked about Kyle here on this program a lot. And, you know, we played clips. We played clips of the trial. I sat back behind me right here on You Are Here, and we filmed an episode with him. But he has never actually been on this program to speak for himself. I can't say that anymore because he is here today. Kyle Rittenhouse in studio. We're really happy that you're here, Kyle.
Thank you guys for having me.
Yeah. So I've been waiting for this. You said that you are moving ahead with defamation lawsuits. And you intend to go after Facebook. What else are you doing here?
Yeah, so we actually just hired Todd McMurtry, who's going to be taking charge of the legal team and helping us out with this.
Yeah, so you're going to go after Facebook. Are you going after CNN? Like, what do you know yet who all you're going to sue?
We're going to be going after Mark Zuckerberg.
Yeah.
He called me a mass murderer, which is not true. It's defamatory. And Facebook blocked out positive and truthful comments about me. They hid it, and same with other big techs. And under Section 230 of the media communications stuff, he cannot do that.
Yeah. So Todd McMurtry is he was Nick Sandmann's lawyer. Is that correct?
Yes.
Was pretty successful there.
Yes, he was.
I think that was a good call on your part. I want to, gentlemen, I know, look, we've talked about Kyle's
extensively.
Yeah, yes. Extensively. So if you guys want to jump in here, please, by all means, go ahead.
Yeah, Kyle, I think it's very important that our culture sees today, especially young men, but just men in general, Eric, that'll stand up and call right and wrong. And not trying to justify wrong and say, you know what, let's not rock the boat. No, if it's wrong, it's wrong, and we need to draw a line in the sand. And it's great to see young guys either in the classroom defending girls that are being abused, or stepping up and just saying, look, my name, which is the word that's spoken over you most, by the way. No other word is spoken over you more than Sarah. And your name is so important. And so good for you to defend your name, and it's also good to see that you have good people around you, because, you know, it's a team. I mean, it's a team fight for sure.
Absolutely, it is a team effort. And without my team, I don't know where I would be, so I'm so thankful for them. And Todd McMurtry and his team helping us out with that, it's just so amazing. And you guys can actually come, like, be updated on what's going on, with the cases going on, and everything just in my life. If you visit tmap.org or my social media, this is Kyle R.
So talk about TMAP, because I think that's really cool what you're doing. So what does TMAP stand? I mean, I know, but tell the audience what TMAP stands for.
Well, tmap.org, the Media Accountability Project, is a project to hold the media accountable. That's part A. And then part B is to help independent journalists such as you or Elijah with like grants and making independent journalism spread as a whole. Yeah,
I just think that is really, really important that you're doing that. Are you guys looking at suing, or can this even be done? I don't know if you know the answer to this, Joe Biden himself, because I feel like he was one of the biggest perpetrators of defamatory statements made against you as the trial was going on.
Well, there was a political election, a presidential election 3 months away from my trial, so what Joe Biden did was all politics. He used my face in a campaign video calling me a white supremacist, and that is not okay.
Yeah. So hopefully we can see maybe Joe Biden being held accountable. What about Whoopi Goldberg? I'm like, please, Kyle, please. I've been dying.
Kyle, Sarah's got a list of names for you. Okay. So you may have to get her onto your council.
We played all those clips, and I was like, screw these people. You're welcome, edit. I didn't say the real word that I was thinking. I'm like, wow, these people cannot be allowed to come on here and spew lies about this kid.
Well, I think it was the guilty before trial, the guilty before anything, right? It was such an immediate verdict. And with the left, it's kind of as they say it. It's almost like that's
the part that I think a lot of people lose sight of is they have for a very long time been able to get away with just saying whatever the hell that they want to about really anybody out there. It's a lot of jacked up stuff that they even still to this day, and because they see definitely no economic consequence to it. You know, I talk about it every day with actors and actors. No consequence to anything it is that they say, be it in our power or out of our power. They don't see any consequence to anything it is they do. too. So they feel empowered. So when they get someone like you, they think it's easy. This is easy money. We can say whatever we want.
Layup,
and it's a layup basically. And if it means sacrificing someone's name, so be it. When they get to advance or whatever individual personal agenda that they want, and it sucks because I've also had to deal with obviously not anything to that degree, but we all here definitely people that are in higher positions say some very jacked up things about you, and then they think like, well, it's perfectly fine. And I'm like, nah, it ain't okay. This is not something that people should be. This is the thing. To me, folks should feel like they need to think twice about that. And I can say that goes for even myself or people on my side. It's one thing for us to sit up here and disagree about something, but when you tie something to someone that's so egregious. And you just so willy-nilly say
the outcome of a jury
trial. Absolutely, it could have.
The president of the United States.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. Like that's what it happens when it's extended to its basically its conclusion. When you get something like what happened with Kyle, and that's stuff that's not okay at all.
So Kyle, it feels a lot like you have a lot of evidence of statements that were made even after the verdict was read, like after you were found not guilty. You still had people on these mainstream media outlets calling you a murderer and things that were just verifiably false at that point. No confusion, verifiably false. Do you think that, can we see maybe some accountability towards those people as well?
Oh, absolutely. They didn't just do this with me. They've been doing this for years. I just learned how bad the media was now. And it's not okay. It's not okay for them to lie about somebody and essentially ruin their entire life. I've accepted that I will never have a normal life again because of what they did.
So you're taking it and you're trying to use it for good, right?
And that's what it's about.
Yeah, exactly. We really do. We all appreciate it here. So what are you looking to, like, you mentioned Section 230. Are you looking to make any sort of changes, try to advance changes to Section 230 at all?
Well, I don't think my lawyers said, like, on Fox yesterday that Section 230, Facebook can't do that, can't use that.
Right. So looking at not allowing the social media companies to continue to use Section 230 as just an excuse to allow all of these things to take place.
They've been hiding behind 230. They've been abusing 230. They've stretched it so far beyond the statute and how it was written. But I just think in life, I think there's a great lesson to learn here, Kyle, and I know you know this, but for young people, no matter what happens to you, how you respond is what it's all about. And you can in that moment decide that I'm a victim, or listen, now I'm fighting for everybody, not just for myself. And I think this is an opportunity to really, again, for young people who are under attack like crazy. I mean, our Gen Z, they are being pummeled, okay, from all angles, to say, look, stand up for yourself, even if it's just you being bullied in the classroom or something. At some point, you got to decide, I'm not a victim. Yes, this happened. I'm going to overcome, but I'm fighting for everybody, and so I commend you for that.
But I think the second part of what you mentioned about the whole T-Mac situation, I think to me is the most important part of this, where you're saying that basically we know that there's people that are independent that want to do actual journalism. That's where the work's done, because then they can't control the conversation in the event that people are able to, and they have the resources to be able to get the word out there as far as whatever story that it is. I think the information control is a big part of why it's so difficult to combat this regime, is because they basically have control of how we hear things, not necessarily what, because there's going to be the Blazes of the world. There's going to be there's going to be
Daily Wires.
Daily Wires. There's going to be absolutely those, but it's not to the degree to where we can completely combat the big guys, because at the end of the day, the normies look at it like, and I said this a lot during your trial about CNN, how, believe it or not, there are people that believe if it doesn't come from them, then it either didn't happen, or if they say something to the contrary, then it must be false or it must be true, depending on which way that it sways. So it's so important for us to have a more decentralized kind of effort in that regard. So more than anything, I certainly commend you in that regards to, if the idea is to certainly help people that are independent journalists to be able to get out there and do their thing. That's a big deal. That shouldn't be understated by any means.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
independent journalists are so undercredited. Their facts aren't taken as truth. News organizations take everything what they do and they twist it. Like I saw a CNN article, mostly peaceful but fiery protests.
right, exactly. It's mostly, don't worry about the fire behind me yet. Okay, the city's burning to the ground, but it's mostly peaceful. Don't worry about it.
Sarah, can I ask one thing? Carl, are you guys expecting the same kind of media attention now with the defamation trial? Because it was super public, like your trial was, I mean, it was internationally public. Do you think, does your team think that you're going to get the same kind of media attention during this trial, or do you not know?
I'm sure there's probably going to be media attention around it, and a lot of the world wants me to sit back and be quiet and go into a hole, but that's not going to happen. I tried that, didn't work. So I'm going to be loud, and I'm going to stand up for myself, and me and my team are going to fight tooth and nail.
Good, thank you, because you're doing it for everyone. One last question, just while I have you. We were just talking, before you came on, we were talking about, you know, the left pushing for gun control. You had Matthew McConaughey up at the White House press briefing today, overly politicizing what happened in Uvalde, which obviously was a horrible tragedy. And you have Kathy Hochul over in New York signing all of this new gun reform bills into law, including you cannot buy a semi-automatic rifle in New York now. They changed it from 18 to 21. So now you have to be 21 years old in order to buy the type of weapon that you had to defend yourself. And body armor, you're not now allowed to buy as a private citizen. All of these really crazy bills that really make it obvious that at the end of the day, the government doesn't want to allow you the ability to protect yourself. What would you say to anyone who says, why in the world would a private citizen need an AR-15?
An AR-15 saved my life, and we have our Second Amendment just like we have all of our other amendments. It's our constitutional right. And without that gun, I'd be dead, Sarah. Yeah, I know. And we're so glad that you're not. And really, really, really proud of what you're doing. Tell everyone one last time where they can go to. What's the website? To come and support us and join our fight, you can go to tmap.org. tmap.org. Thank you so, so much, Kyle, for everything that you're doing, standing up to big media and all of those other who defamed you. And we wish you all the success, and let us know what...
Yeah, don't get that away from me. It's about your turn. It's always me. It's your turn. That's for you.
I did it.
Close.
Yeah,
the Kyle Rittenhouse trial brought it out of me.
It's not me this time, man.
Shoot. All right, we've got more to come. Stay tuned. But first, we want to thank our sponsor, very, very timely sponsor here, iTarget Pro. So, look, the Second Amendment is under assault, and I know that it's very, very expensive when you go to the range right now. Ammunition is sky high, and then on top of that, there's all of those range fees that are included. But you need to be properly trained. You need to make sure that you are sharp with whatever weapon you choose to use to defend yourself. That is where iTarget Pro comes in. This is a revolutionary system that allows you to dry fire practice with your actual firearm anytime in the safety and privacy of your own home. So it's going to pay for itself, guys, the first time you use it in the amount that you're going to be saving, not going to the range, not spending the money on ammunition. Father's Day is coming up, is all I'm saying. And your father is going to love you for this if you get him iTarget. It's going to help you develop muscle memory, sharpen target reaction speed, sight alignment, trigger function, and more, because as you know, if you know guns, every trigger is different. So you got to stay sharp with all of your firearms. You can go to itargetpro.com, save 10% plus get free shipping with the offer code NEWS. Father's Day is around the corner. Do not miss out on this. It is the letter itargetpro.com, offer code NEWS. George Soros has invested tens of millions of dollars into getting progressive district attorneys elected in 75 cities across the United States. This is according to a new report that was just released. This is analysts with the Law Enforcement Legal Defense Fund who found that, you know, this is, of course, the founder of the Open Society Foundations, that there is $40 million over the past decade that has been invested by George Soros to elect all of these progressive prosecutors. You have, what is his name in San Francisco? However you say it, Boudin? I don't know how you say it. But you've got him. You've got, I mean, far left progressives. And according to this analysis, over the past decade, a wave of social justice candidates have been elected as a chief prosecutor in jurisdictions across the United States. Most of these prosecutors pursue radical justice policies upon assuming office, including eliminating bail, dismissing felony cases, and seeking lenient sentences while creating antagonistic relationships with their public safety partners, especially the police. And of course, as you would expect, crime and violence surged following the election of many of these prosecutors. And apparently the rise in most of these prosecutors' jurisdictions predates the nationwide 2020 crime spike.
Yep, absolutely. This is a long game, long play.
Sure is.
Sad to say, 80% of Texas DAs are liberal, 80%. And then you also understand they took some rights away from Ken Paxton as the Attorney General to adjudicate votes, and they put it in the hands of the DAs, funded by this criminal at large, him and his son, George Soros, and his son. We start implicating his son because he's taking over the empire. I mean, long game. They've invested into the local communities and controlling the courts.
Yeah, this is certainly a long game. I love how you've had those articles that have been wrote by a lot of like the progressives, and they try to act like you're gaslighting when you talk about George Soros and the threat. Like, oh, these just conspiracy boogeyman. It's like, nah, man. Anybody that wants, obviously, you're not going to cover it, but anybody that wants to actually look into this knows that this guy certainly, obviously, his pockets are as deep as all get out, but he certainly used that money to then fund people being in these different positions of influence for what is end game. I think even that's up for question. But either way, it goes to show how the left, in particular, like they play the long game with really everything it is that they do. So you can best believe that when you see something that's so in your face, you like we see whatever craziness is going on in the world. Pretty sure you can trace it back, not necessarily back to George Soros, but there was some seed that was planted before by people that were on that side. They knew exactly what it was that they were doing. So this is why it's so important for us to pay attention to stuff like that so it can be combated. I think oftentimes it's not necessarily legal per se when that little seed of influence that they're trying to plant, or that person that is tied to, be it the Soroses or those types of ilks of people, are in positions of power to influence really the lives of a lot of people, man. And this is why we got to get more active and have our boots on the ground and not just pay attention, let's say, to the national elections. Not to say that those aren't worth paying attention to, but you got to pay attention to certainly what's going around you, especially culturally. Because, man, you always wonder why there'll be these people that come out of nowhere, don't really have a name for themselves, yet they somehow pop up with all sorts of resources to be able to do certain things.
You mean like Barack Obama?
Just look really down there, and if you go down that rabbit hole, you'll probably find some criminal activity.
But it's a whole class. You throw Gates in that class, Zuckerberg
that's
in
why
that
I'm saying
class.
of his ilk,
You know, now you got to throw the Rothschilds in, then the Rockefellers, and then the Murdochs in there, and they play these long game, local political pools where they puppeteer the strings. And look what happened. We failed at the courts through COVID. That's where our society got locked down, was at the local court. And not just judges and DAs, but ISD superintendents. I know for a fact, for instance, in Hinojosa in Dallas, that's a Soros candidate. Funded that for years. County judges, I mean,
I think it's just conservatives are seeing, I think they're learning the hard way what happens when you're not active locally, because the other side, that's what they do. They infiltrate locally. They play the long game. They will build up their credibility. They will pack themselves on your school boards and your city councils until they can do whatever the hell they want. And conservatives are busy like, well, I'm just going to live my life in my little corner and take care of myself and my family. And like, that's cool, but that's not what they're doing.
You got to combat that. That's what it's all about. I mean, we speak about this every day, man, about the long-term infiltration of the left and various like subcultures that a lot of us are involved in, and other people that were conservative neglected it or media, or completely ignored, especially entertainment. To me, that's the most important part, at least in regards to like the younger generations of people. Like that's stuff that you can't sit up here and be lax about it, and more importantly, you can't act as if your enemy operates upon the same set of morals and ethics that you operate on. I think we give these guys way too much benefit of the doubt.
Stop supporting these people.
That's number one.
One last time they want to take their kids to Disney. No.
No, stop. Just stop. Yeah. Yep.
Stop supporting these people because you're enabling them. Yep. You know, getting his money from somewhere, right? And he's getting it normally from the right, from the guy who's building this small business.
I'm so glad you said that, Yago, because a lot of folks that are on our side of, like, let's say, the political aisle don't seem to understand that. Like, at the end of the day, you think about the people that they parade kind of out there and the people that they act as if they should be championing. They don't really have a whole lot of resources anyway. Like the political left, especially, they don't have anything. Like they don't build anything. That's just why they're locusts. They always infiltrate. Yeah. But the important thing is that they understand that, okay, the people on the other side, we do need their money. We certainly need their money to operate because these leftist weirdos are broke anyway like that. They ain't got money like that. We need the families. We need certainly all of those people. But unfortunately, a lot of them are on our side, and they don't have the gonads, for lack of better terms, not going to use the swear jar, to get out, to just stop. Just cut off their addiction and say, all right, I can't stop with everything. Like, there are some necessities, but at least with the stuff that I don't need, like Disney. Yeah. Like, Disney is the one mega corporation that does not provide anything other than entertainment. Yeah. They're not providing you with your home. They're not providing you with your phones, your food, or anything. It's strictly entertainment. If we can't cut them off, then I guess we deserve to lose.
Yes, yeah, that's the kicker right there. All right, we got to take a break. We'll be back
without swearing.
Yes, I did without swearing.
All right. White House Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre on Tuesday blamed inflation on global challenges, including the invasion of Ukraine. By the way, there was also like, hey, not just Putin, but also Trump is definitely Trump's fault. Everything is Trump's fault or Putin's fault, but definitely not Uncle Joe's fault. Let's listen to that.
Everything's on the table, as you heard us say the last couple of weeks. But I do want to say, if you look at what happened when Putin started amassing troops on the border with Russia, the price of gas has increased by $1.51. And I also want to add, because this is really important so that people understand and flag that similar issues are happening around the world. In the EU, gas is $8.15 per gallon and has increased by $1.74.
Can you look
up
from your
Germany,
script?
gas is $8.88 per gallon. It has increased $2.16. In Canada, gas is $6.23 per gallon. It has increased $1.93. And all of this has happened since December of 2021. This is to your point, Phil, which is this is a global challenge. This is something that everyone is feeling across the globe, but we understand.
So again, after that, she tried to shift the blame to Trump. She said that Biden walked into a bad economy in 2021. I mean, here's the thing. When you force the entire country to shut down, that tends to happen. But it's interesting because they don't talk about the cost of gasoline in the increase that took place before anything happened in Ukraine. They don't talk about that part of it. They don't talk about the fact that before Joe Biden came into office, Trump had us the most energy independent that we had ever been. And Joe Biden literally on day one undid all of the progress that Trump did. But we're supposed to believe that this is all, I don't know, Putin's fault.
This show has an amazing director called Steven. Steven on this show pulled up a graphic on the screen that showed when Trump, the last month, November of Trump, we paid $1.86 in Texas. The day Biden got elected, the world said, oh crap, and price started rising just with him being elected. And then it skyrockets in his presidency way before Putin amasses troops on the border. So this is such a farce. She's a liar, absolute liar. We thought Jen Psaki was bad. Evidently, it can get worse.
Well, look, Jen Psaki was a horrible liar, but she at least was able to communicate with these people without looking down the entire time. I mean, what is the point of this woman being here for the press conference
if she just is reading a script?
No kidding.
They literally said that.
I mean, why not just release the script to everyone if all she's going to do is just read it verbatim? Then just release the words rather than have someone up there who clearly has no idea what she's talking about.
The thing that makes makes me angry, it's not even that she kind of just invoked the Trump thing, because, you know, you've heard me say on the show before, he's not completely absolved of the spending bills and stuff that he signed off on. That a lot of that got us into this mess. But to act like Biden's just completely like, oh, it ain't me, it's complete nonsense. Like that. No, you guys all had a lot to do with it. But that represents to me government like inaction, where they somehow are able to convince large swaths of people that they had absolutely nothing to do with the problem that occurs right now. It actually angers me to that point, because this is something that is specifically tied to you and your central banking system. That is why the inflationary issues exist. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. You may swindle a lot of the American people into believing otherwise, but it is because of you and your policies and your spending efforts combined with the central banking system and its efforts is what got us into the issues that we get into. This isn't the first inflationary issue and as long as it keeps going this route, this is what's going to happen. But she is too chicken crap. Not just her. Well, Psaki was, and to be fair, the other presidents, their puppets before them as well, to simply tell the American people the truth. Yeah. Why they won't do that? Because it would incriminate them and themselves, and then Congress as well, and all of those that participate in that at the national level, all their spending efforts and whatnot. I would encourage everybody, every year, Rand Paul puts out that waste report. Yes. And I would encourage you guys to just go read just take any year. He's been doing it basically since he's been in office. Go look at that and read the insane amount of money that is just being thrown out, that the government already can see. They meet together, and they meet together all the time, and they say, hey, this is the amount of money that we agree that we're going to spend. We already know we're not going to get that much money, and we're going to deficit spend anyway. They agree to that, and they know that they're spending this on various other just absolute disastrous things. And those policies combined don't hurt them, because they can vote to give themselves raises. They hurt the American people. And that's what's so frustrating to me, man.
Yeah. All right, we got to take a quick break. We'll be back. Was it Janet Yellen? BlazeTV contributor Alex Stein was suspended from Twitter after he exposed the child grooming going on in a Dallas gay bar. This was, of course, with the help of John Doyle and Taylor Hanson and Aldo Bottazzoni and a lot of people. But Alex tweeted out a video of these Antifa people assaulting him, and he pulled the guy's mask off, and he tweeted, "These people try to hide behind their masks and assault people. We must stand up for what is right and expose these sick psychopaths." Well, this apparently violated Twitter's rules against hateful conduct, and his account is now locked, and he can't tweet on it unless he deletes that tweet, which he will not do because he did not say anything wrong. He said, they want you to do. Absolutely correct. Yeah, it is. And it's like, isn't it such a like, oh, we can get you to delete that? I mean, it's a carrot dangle, right?
Yeah,
it's
that's
like,
what it is.
Well,
you come back, and we start serving your suspension.
Right.
But you got to just delete the tweet.
You got to delete it, and when you delete it, you'll notice it says, like, by clicking delete, you do agree that you violated the policy.
Yes, exactly. Well, it's just kiss the ring, right? Mm-hmm. Kiss the ring. And this is what they do. It's coercion, and it's force.
That's such a mild, like,
he literally he called someone who assaulted him.
That one is almost, at least me, I cussed in mine when I got suspended.
I know.
I always feel like that was whiplash. They kind of wanted to suspend him on the video.
Right, correct. How do we do it?
How do we pivot? How do we do this exactly? And then just pull that.
They got some rogues over there, man.
Yeah, no, I mean.
Over at Twitter, man.
So
hey, Elon is in for
yeah,
they got some rogues over there.
In for a run.
I don't think he's going to do it.
No, I mean that place is a cesspool.
Yeah. So look, I'm just saying you should probably tweet out the hashtag #FreeAlex, because that's what we're just trying to get him back on Twitter. And look, they're going to come after all of us. So we might as well band together. If child grooming is their hill to die on,
let them die on that.
Let them, because you know what? It is my hill to die on, and I'm going to protect 100%. My children. And there are a lot of us out there who are trying to do the work protecting the kids. So free Alex, hashtag free Alex. And gentlemen, thank you guys. And Yaku, thank you for all of your work in helping keep our kids safe.
Appreciate it.
We really appreciate that.
Thanks, Young Ripper.
Yeah, thanks, young Rippa 59, Yaku Booyans. Make sure that you are subscribed, and we will see you guys tomorrow.